and gentlemen.
Welcome to the show. It's movie wire time. Oh, the movie wire. Bring the firing squad. Bill, Justin. Give the finger or laugh or smile. It's time to find out. No more waiting. So here we go. The Sultan of Cinema. The gumshoe of review. Here is Justin Henson. Let's start the show. Let's go.
Welcome to the Movie Wire.
And welcome to this week's edition of the Movie Wire. I'm your host, Justin Henson, and welcome to the show. We got a big show this week with 3 new movies to review, with all 3 playing in theaters right now. This week on the show, a family has to push tragedy aside to stop a bunch of monsters that come alive from a sketchbook in Sketch. Last night at 2:17 a.m., every child from Mrs. Grady's class woke up, got out of bed, went downstairs, opened the front door, walked into the dark, and they never came back in Zach Cregger's Weapons. And finally, here we go again. Friday's about to get freaky again. Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back in Freakier Friday. We got a lot to cover this week, so let's jump right in. Ready for my verdict? Let's get into it.
Out of the windows to watch a roar and a bursting of flames. The Movie Wire Podcast. We just need people like me.
The Wire.
And here we go.
22 years after Tess and Anna endured a freaky identity crisis, Anna now has a daughter and soon-to-be stepdaughter. That's freaky for a teenager. And as they navigate challenges that come when 2 freaking families merge, Tess and Anna discover that lightning might strike twice in Disney's Freakier Friday.
Morning.
Happy wedding week. You have a lot on your plate. Let us know how we can help.
Maybe someone could help me write my wedding vows. How about this?
I, Anna, take you, Eric, a man whose daughter is a little demon thing with an obnoxious accent.
What is taking so long? We wouldn't want to be off schedule, innit? My bachelorette party will be good bonding for everyone.
You two are called to be family.
Yeah, right. Don't remind me.
You've walked in each other's path. You learned a lesson that may serve you again.
Okay, that's enough.
Thank you very much.
One more thing. Right over there is a QR code that you can tip me with. Change the hearts you know are wrong to reach the place where you belong.
Oh my God, what is happening? Okay, it's who am I? It's me. It's Mom. If you're me and I'm you, then who's that? I'm Grandma, sweetheart. Last time, we convinced everyone that we were each other until we switched back.
I didn't want to be a part of this family, and now I'm part of some dodgy family curse. And I'm the eldest.
As teenagers, we have no power. But as adults,
We can break our parents up for good. Chop, 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 chop. All you have to do is reunite her with her first love. Very good. Lip your hair. Good. Big moves. Bite your lip. Not your top lip, your bottom lip.
I know what this is. You're having a stroke.
No, I just need to go to the bathroom. I was really bad at that. So bad at that. Any other ideas? Let's just get back out there. Otherwise, he'll think I'm pooping.
Too late.
Nice car.
It's totally mine.
She thinks you're cute.
I do not.
Yes, she does.
I do.
She so does.
Dr. Coleman?
Oh my God, go.
That's my therapist.
H-O-T-T-O-G-O.
Talk about a freaking pointless sequel. The original Freaky Friday from 2003 must have been a bigger freaky following than I'm aware of. A sequel 22 years in the making. And I think we have officially abandoned the originality boat. Freakier Friday hit the freakiest giant iceberg of used cliches and situations. It might as well have just been called Titanic 2, Frickety Freak. Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan return here just a couple decades older. And to the movie's credit, Curtis actually still looks as lovely as ever, and we can tell Curtis is having a lot of fun with the return. Bless her heart. But then we have Lohan, who is now a mother herself to a teenage daughter, Harper, played by Julia Butters. Okay, there's a lot more to the plot. Let me see if I can just sum this up, because it's a lot to take in, especially for a Disney film and a Disney sequel. Let's try it. Stay with me. You might have to adjust the speed of your podcast platform, whatever. You might want to slow it down. I don't really care. I just want to get fucking through this. Here we go. 22 years later, after the original Freaky Friday, Anna Coleman, played by Lindsay Lohan, is now a music producer and a single mother, raising her teenage daughter, Harper, with the help of her mother, Tess, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. The story unfolds as Harper and a new classmate, British immigrant Lily, clash at the school. This is freaky conflict number 1. That will lead to a moral message. Anna and Lily's widowed father, Eric, connect to become engaged. This will be freaky conflict number 2. Along with being an opposite attempt to be an angry, freaky Parent Trap ripoff. Tensions flare between Harper and Lily over the impending family merger. During a bachelorette party, both mother and granddaughter and our 2 teenagers receive palm readings from a psychic named Madam Jen. Of course they would go to a palm reading at a birthday party. Why not? It's convenient. I don't fucking know. And by the way, Madam Jen is a freak. A mysterious quake follows. This is unexpected and probably just a guy in a tank top shaking the camera saying, "Woo, freaky!" And the next morning, the 4 find themselves in a tangled 4-way body swap. Yeah, I guess a 4-way is pretty freaky. Harper and Lily swap with Anna and Tess in a way that mixes generations. Grandmother becomes teenager, mother becomes daughter, teenager becomes mother, and a British girl becomes an American grandmother. Freaky conflict number 3. As they navigate their mismatched bodies and roles, they're guided to fix each other's hearts through the following cliches. A food fight, attempts to disrupt a wedding, a heartfelt realization, awkward situations, avoiding situations, a sporting event set up for comedic relief, and of course we can't have a feel-good Disney movie without a music number in the climax at a concert setting to tie your heartstrings in a bow. Mickey Mouse must have a freakishly big mouth to shove all that fucking freaky cliche plot down his throat. Now, to be fair, we have to look at the intent of this film. This didn't seek out to be a masterpiece. It sought out to be just merely bubblegum. Bubblegum entertainment for the family to make everybody feel good. And it does have its moments. It does have its moments of not freakier fun, but maybe just below freaky fun? But it's like our writers, Jordan Weiss and Elise Hollander, each took rounds of coming up with cliche situation after cliche situation and shoved it into this mess. This is a rapid fire of situational comedies that never truly lands because there are so many characters for this movie to really focus on anything. And when a movie is overpowered by situations, plots, and character motives, it's hard to focus on the heart of it. And as we go through the multiple attempts at comedic situations, we get maybe generously 10% that actually land, with nothing that is ever too freaky, but merely just a below par freaky chuckle. Then we have other situations and comedic moments that just fall flat, including a scene where we have Jamie Lee Curtis hit on a teenage boy. Simmer down, Disney. That's a little too freaky for me, and that moment became the freakiest Disney moment to date. Now, to be fair, Freakier Friday wasn't made for me. The original wasn't even made for me, even though I appreciated the attempt of the first film and found it innocent enough to be Disney fun. But this is where the movie should have identified what it is, with the bloated material, and tested the waters to be something opposite than just another generic Disney sequel formula, and go all in on the chaotic comedy element. We have a plethora of characters all filling the runtime with situational material that just feels segmented and structured, where it should have had a tone of utter chaos. It plays it too safe on the Disney formula, where I felt I was at amateur night at a comedy club and waiting for a comedian's first time to reach a freaking punchline. It is absolutely freaky that nobody realized this, that every freaking moment has to feel like freaky filler. We even have a return from Mark Harmon from the original that just seems to be in the background, waving at the camera saying, "Hey, remember me? I was in the original. I was also in NCIS New Orleans, NCIS Originals. Oh, and hey, I did that one movie in the 80s, Summer School. Remember me? I'm still alive. And I got a job just with no speaking lines. I'm still here, guys." And you know what? It is freaky how much I love freaking Summer School. Anyway, Freakier Friday was directed by Nisha Ganatra, a new director outside of sitcoms at least, who I guess is a perfect director for this kind of material, where all she really has to do is ensure that we get aerial shots of Jamie Lee Curtis's chest and far away shots of Lindsay Lohan. Oh, and ensuring the transition shots between every situation feels like scrolling through YouTube videos. I'm a sucker for a good, heartfelt, freaky climax, especially if music is involved to sum up a message, in what Antonio over at our Back to the Balcony show would call a Justin movie, a movie that manipulates you in the fun factor with artificial feelings. But here, I even tried to convince myself to be engulfed in the attempt, but I could never get there. I was even forcing myself trying to be engulfed in this message, and I couldn't get there. It was just less freaky and more forced and artificial. It was hard to find value in anything this film does. Even if we were to take the nostalgia factor, this really isn't tapped into, where we don't have Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. Take a breath, take a moment, spend some time on reflecting on their freaky past before we just go into go to the next generation. The only bright point of this film is the energy that Curtis brings to the screen, in which this is her MO. To give it her all in all of her films. She's a likable character. She's a likable actress on screen. It's always a pleasure to see her in a role. Freakier Friday may be entertaining in the moment for young adults or those that were freaky fans of the original Freaky Friday, but this won't create any long-term fans, and just like many Disney sequels, this will be forgotten in time, in recent memory. I'm giving Freakier Friday the freakiest rating of the show. And yes, I referenced freaky about 31 times in this review to use up time because I didn't want to fucking review this movie. And it's freaky that I'm not going to give it 1 star, 32 references, but a rather freaky 33 times, 1.5 stars.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Now, before we get into the rest of the show, make sure to check out my reviews for movies that just became available to rent, buy, or stream now.
Now available on video cassette.
Smurf it up and get the search party started in another attempt at a Smurfs movie, which Smurfin' sucked, receiving 2 stars. Hindsight is 2020 in Eddington, that attacks a proper balance of political divide with a focus for the characters and allows her own reflection to a dark time to fill in the relatable thrills, receiving 3 stars. A New Era is Born, a Jurassic World rebirth in which we needed a redo, not a rebirth, that birthed out 2 stars. Time didn't heal anything in 28 years later that took the serious into emotional horror, receiving 3.5 stars. Every Life is a universe of its own, and the first 4-star review of the year, and the best movie of the year in The Life of Chuck, which received 4 stars. Hold on to your coconuts in the Disney remake that's familiar but extends the heart in Lilo and Stitch, that received 3 stars. Some people just want more in a romantic movie that tackles today's social status versus what love actually is, in Materialist, that received 3 stars. The Ocean Leaves No Trace, his murder weapon has an appetite in Dangerous Animals that puts humans as the predator over sharks. My Animal Instincts couldn't help but give it 3 stars. The Bitch is Back in Megan 2.0 that had a good premise, but the execution of what to do with the premise missed the mark, receiving 2.5 stars. Another live-action remake that changes absolutely nothing in How to Train Your Dragon, that if you like the original, just watch the fucking original, receiving 2 stars. When families unite, a new legacy begins in Karate Kid Legends that feels as entertaining as going to a random kids kung fu tournament, receiving 1.5 stars. And please don't go to a random kids kung fu tournament, that's just weird. If something gets in your way, flatten it, and Wes Anderson's The Finishing Scheme. That is as Wes Anderson as it gets, but instead of relying on an ensemble, we really rely on one character that becomes exhausting, receiving 2.5 stars. The Past Never Stays Buried, Pierce Brosnan and Samuel L. Jackson star in the Western The Unholy Trinity, which should be considered unholy with wasting such talent, receiving 2 stars. Be careful who you assemble in the new Marvel movie Thunderbolts, or New Avengers, whatever the fuck the title is, which is the best Marvel to come out in quite a while that goes back to simplistic roots, receiving 3 stars. From the world of John Wick comes just another John Wick film, just less interesting, in Ballerina, that I would have been more entertained by going to the actual ballet, receiving 2 stars. And finally, orphans in a new home have to face the devil in Bring Her Back, which attacks emotions to an unsettling fear, receiving 3.5 stars. You can check out those reviews of my previous episodes, and while you do, don't forget to hit follow or subscribe, and please don't forget to leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Now, before I get into the last set of reviews, there is a podcast that has become one of my weekly listening routines to give me a mental break from the stresses of work, and that is with J and K over the Fuck My Worklife Podcast. Make sure you follow and subscribe. The link to that show will be in the description of this episode. But let's hear from J&K over the F My Worklife podcast now.
Have you ever had a bad day at work?
Well, the F My Worklife podcast is perfect for you.
Host J&K share listeners' entertaining stories from the workplace, which may have you thinking you don't have it so bad after all.
Find F My Worklife on your favorite podcast platform.
When all but one child from the same class mysteriously vanish on the same night at exactly the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearance in Zach Cregger's Weapons.
This is a true story that happened in my town. So this one Wednesday is like a normal day for the whole school. But today was different. Every other class had all their kids. But Mrs. Gandy's room was totally empty. And you know why? Because the night before, at 2:17 in the morning, every kid woke up, got out of bed, walked downstairs, and into the dark. And they never came back.
I don't understand at all. Why just her classroom? Why only hers?
Where are our children?
We have a lot of emotional parents here. I think it's best if you keep some distance from this place.
Matthew, where are you? Where did you go?
This is where the story really starts.
Now, the title, Weapons, doesn't completely make sense until you actually take the journey of Zach Cregger's vision of storytelling. That is reminiscent of just one of my favorite films of 2022, and that's Barbarian. Barbarian was a mixed bag of viewer opinions, mainly because it was a Zach Cregger experiment of multiple genres that did throw audiences off. Along with that, with a selection of narrative shifts that Cregger almost invents a new type of horror genre that with Barbarian, some were not sure of what to feel about it, as we dipped our toes in the water to feel the temperature with Barbarian, and with Weapons, we are diving all in. Zach Cregger here learns and took the feedback of his previous film to make an ambitious movie to feel more integrated. Now, Barbarian had a narrative, and it took us on a journey just by nodding its head at different genres to prove its social commentary, where it felt like almost two separate movies. And here we get more of the same, but what's different is that Cregger doesn't take us on a journey of two separate movies, but rather multiple points of view of the same story that comes together in what would now be Cregger's trademark. A bonkers climax that's over the top, but so hard to resist the fun factor. And the narrative is still present, even with all the gore involved. Cregger knows exactly how to utilize the appropriate skills to promote thrills, scares, and make an audience laugh in between. Cregger is now becoming one of my favorite horror film writers and directors, not for the fact his writing is amazing or the direction is spot on in all of his movies, but he knows how to engage an audience. Like a great comedian with great comedic timing, Cregger knows what an audience wants at any given time. The thrills are there, the gross factor is there, and the scares are there at the exact moments we need them. And they're effective. It almost reminds me of what The Home starring Pete Davidson should have been. And by the way, The Home review is coming soon. I just keep pushing it off. After Weapons, Cregger will become a household name when it comes to mixing midnight movie horror to mainstream for an audience to cringe, squirm, hold their breath, and laugh, but more importantly, take something away in thought if you want to dive below the surface of it. Watching Weapons reminded me of watching horror movies in my teens, not knowing they were bad, with the big volume cranked up burst of jump scares, not knowing any better to what a good horror movie was. Cregger took me back to really define what a good, fun horror movie is. Here it has evolved just the right way, utilizing sound, camera, and always poking at the curiosity of where this movie is going. Even when we know where this movie is going with the mystery, we still don't know what Cregger is going to do with it. And Cregger teases at cliche, where we think it's going to follow the same cliche simple solves, and he goes all in to amplify, to make fun of the cliche to almost an old school fairy tale in a humorous but glorious, gory climax. Cregger here takes us on a journey that really does flow, compared to Barbarian, that there is an actual stopping point and then a continuation. Here, we are just hypnotized into this journey of a mystery and curiosity. Cregger dangles the carrot, tempting us to follow along to the payoff. The way this is done gradually sparks intrigue and at the same time grows the stakes with our characters, especially with our school teacher, Justine, played by Ozark and more recently the Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four first step star, Julia Gardner, who I am so glad had a movie back-to-back, a potential blockbuster that uses her as mere CGI, and here where it shows her full range. And honestly, based on the audience's word of mouth with Weapons, this one will probably make more of a profit than Fantastic Four. And that makes me happy because this shows the talent on display. Gardner is starting to really shine in her projects, and I'm starting to look forward to what project she's up to next. We can tell that Gardner perfectly matches the tone of curiosity that Cregger wanted to tell, and it's a perfect casting choice. Weapons is one of those movies that is best to go in with little to no knowledge to really appreciate it and go to the full extent of the fun factor, just like most movies are. So I'm going to leave as many details out as I possibly can. And as we get into the movie, Cregger does the same justice to give us mere premise points or plot points and allows the characters different points of views to tell the story to unravel itself. Weapons premise runs an elementary school class of 18 that all but one go missing at the same time at 2:17 a.m. with only one student remaining, and that's Alex, played by Carrie Christopher, and his teacher Justine, again played by Gardner, with a town that's desperate to find where their kids are and they all want to know the truth, including a desperate father, Archer, played by Josh Brolin, that does his own investigation. Cregger doesn't treat this for the audience as so much a mystery, where we are keeping our brains occupied by trying to gain clues, but rather uses his dialogue and intimate close-up shots to ensure the audience doesn't spend time analyzing the screen, trying to solve a mystery. He is in complete control of the camera and the audience on what he wants us to see. He doesn't want the viewer to solve a mystery, but go on this journey along with the characters. This keeps to the fairy tale theme that we'll get into in just a second. Zach Cregger's displays some strategic filmmaking. By keeping mystery out of it but the curiosity high, Cregger displays some strategic filmmaking, where I can bet he had a vision of what he wanted from the first pen page of his screenplay. This plays like a cinematic, entertaining chess game with mix-max genres as the pieces to keep the audience attached. To the point, in my theater, it was absolutely packed. And for the first time since the original Quiet Place, not one person pulled out their phone, not one person was talking. Everybody was engulfed to what was happening on screen, with the exception of when Zach Cregger wanted an audience to make a sound. Now, as we start to see the movie break up at different points of view with our characters, this is where we get a reflection of how long this movie really takes to get going, versus the screen time our other characters get. And we get an ensemble of interesting characters here, where, without giving anything away, there are some characters I wish we went into more discovery mode or explanation. This includes our main antagonist. That again, I will leave out. Cregger uses the fun factor surrounding this character with a faster pace and a great performance from this cast member with the name I will again leave out. This character's on-screen presence is so hypnotic and bizarre, I don't think even Cregger knew how good of a performance and character this was until it was too late to make any changes. And as I was reflecting on this film, my thoughts always went back to this singular character, and all I can think about is more and more questions surrounding our antagonist. The movie covers a lot, which would be easy to have a lot of holes in what Cregger is covering, and we don't get all the answers right away. And Cregger isn't in any rush to answer those questions. Again, this shows more of his directorial and creative control. But in the end, we do get most of our questions answered, except questions surrounding our antagonist. That is more of a curiosity than a whole. But for me, it does hold the movie back from something greater. Weapons is a summer movie without it feeling like a summer movie. It's smart, it's exciting, it's funny, it's edge-of-your-seat entertainment that actually tries to be something unique on the big screen. It's a big movie without all the spectacle and still manages to make you feel like you got rewarded and not robbed for purchasing a ticket. Cregger nods at the tradition of the Brothers Grimm and says this will be a contemporary fairy tale that will make you jump and laugh along with it. It's an effective multi-genre that you can hear a pin drop in the theater, with the exception of when Cregger wants an emotion out of you, and he has complete control like a conductor orchestrating sounds from the audience, from a gasp to a scream to a laugh, until the final moments where he folds his arms down to his side, waiting for an applause from the audience. In this case, it's an audience's chatter right when the credits come on. Like getting off a fun roller coaster, a fun ride. This is one of the best movies you can see this summer. I'm giving Weapons 3.5 stars. When a young girl's sketchbook falls into a strange pond, her drawings come to life chaotic, real and on the loose. As the town descends into chaos, her family must reunite to stop the monsters they never meant to unleash. In the new film from Angel Studios comes Sketch.
Amber, you're incredibly creative. Here's the thing. Life is all about balancing the good and the bad. If you don't carry the good with you too, then it's just going to make the bad stronger.
That's always kind of been her thing, right? Drawing?
All kids like to draw.
But has she always been so...
Iders.
Iders. She's working through some stuff.
Are we orphans?
No, you have a dad. I'm alive.
Then what are we? What do you call an orphan that still has a dad?
Come on.
You know, feelings aren't bad.
When you get angry, sad, or scared, put it in here.
Or it can't hurt anyone.
Is everything okay?
I found this place in the woods. We dropped Amber's notebook in it. And now I'm worried that Amber's drawings might be...
What are you talking about? What in the...
I promise I didn't want this. You're not an evil person just because you drew pictures.
I saw an eyeball with legs. When do you see that?
I know we're supposed to be scared of it, but it's kind of beautiful.
Amber was the only one doing what we're supposed to be doing. Not running from the pain, but feeling it.
Watch this. You guys ready? No, I don't want to do this. I have to go to the bathroom. You couldn't have gone before we put all this stuff on? I didn't have to go then. Now I have to go too. Oh my...
Now, walking out of Sketch, I didn't know how to digest it at first. I was torn down the middle, but knew this was a movie that needs to settle in one's mind after it's done. But that also begs the question, if the target audience is families and kids, should it be a movie that should be thought about? The answer is absolutely yes. Dark, heavy life's topics. It's easy for filmmakers and studios to sugarcoat it for mere entertainment purposes, to relate to kids but not necessarily give them a thought or the credit that they deserve to handle topics like death. Kids are smarter and more observant than we give them credit for. They deserve, with art, with cinema, to be told the truth, to open up conversations, to challenge the mind. And given the dark tones, the dark topics, mixed with a sense of adventure with adult stakes, and this is a movie that does a great job. It doesn't hold back. And given the dark tones, the dark topics, mixed with a sense of adventure with adult stakes, but with added cartoon flair. And our writer-director, Seth Worley, knows this about kids. He knows they need to be challenged. He knows he needs to be real, relatable, and challenge the mind and not tiptoe around real topics. He attacks a topic, the messaging at hand, with complete honesty about ways we cope, whether that's an adult coping or a child coping. Sketch revolves around the Wyatt family who just lost their mother, and the father Taylor, played by Tony Hale, must navigate selling his house while trying to be there for his two kids, Amber and Jack, played by Bianca Bell and Q Lawrence, in which Amber is having the hardest time adjusting, where she puts her thoughts, her violent abstract thoughts, bloody creatures, and imaginative monsters into her notebook. This is where the movie is truly honest with itself on the different ways we cope. We have our father Taylor take down every memory of his wife to not be reminded, and this is his coping mechanism. Then we have Amber, who is trying to find light in the darkness, but can't output her feelings other than on paper that shows the utter darkness. Then we have Jack, who is just lost in between, trying to be strong for both of them, and the weight that has on a household that has to face tremendous tragedy. It's a lot to take in for any of the three individuals. Our writer-director, Worley, goes all in again, not to sugarcoat the main theme of tragedy. And even though Amber is outputting her feelings in what some would assume on the outside to be a troubled child, really isn't, but rather a healthy way to communicate she's in a dark place. When Amber's creatures and monsters are brought back to life in this magical lake, any other movie would have treated this as a different tone, a more colorful, upbeat entertainment piece. But we still continue our dark tone, but with eye-catching monsters that gives off a Gremlins vibe just without the fun factor. And when I say take away the fun factor, this movie is still a lot of fun, but this does have heavy topics. It's not the main intent to just entertain, but to prove a point. And I think that's where audiences may have a problem with this movie. It's a mere fact it feels like it's trying so hard to be entertainment vehicle of monsters to copy the magic of Gremlins, but it really isn't. It has a mission to tell the audience that even the ugliest feelings can come alive and still be recognized as imagination to help us cope. The special effects team here gets the assignment on creating these creatures that aren't too scary, but we still feel they're a threat. We get examples of crushed cars with no driver attack school buses, but we really don't see the violence, since that will throw off the tone. Instead, Worley gives us examples of the environment of the chaos the monsters have created, to have us feel the threat without throwing off what this movie is trying to do, with the exception of our main monster, or traumatic character, if you will, that Amber first draws. That can be a little scary for some kids. Now, with that said, even though I love the message and how Sketch tells the message, it does seem to chase its own tail in the back half of the movie, and we even lose the threat of these monsters, where the town doesn't have a consistent message of the threat the town faces. We have police cars, policemen witnessing these creatures, but the town is either in utter turmoil or they're just completely going about their day. The threat isn't really consistent unless our characters are interacting with them. You don't see the aftermath except for small set pieces. You mix that with the split adventure story between our kids, including Amber, Jack, and Amber's bully Bowman, played by Kaylin Cox, who Amber based her first drawing off of. Then we have our second story, our father Taylor and his real estate sister Liz, played by Darcy Carden, who is helping to sell Taylor's house. Each of these individual stories tries to be relevant as standalone, but really just feels like it's killing screen time. Our kid story or adventure tends to do the Goonies thing by arming up, and then the adults just seem to run around with slow-paced dialogue. And when our adults and our kids meet up, of course there is a lesson to be had. There was a 30-minute span where it started to lose my attention, especially with the kids portion. And the kids had the most interactions with our brought-to-life drawn creatures. It's hard to get past the talent on this one. Now, I'll try and be gentle, but I'm not. Everybody needs to start somewhere, but our Bowman bully, played by Kaylin Cox, he has the energy, but his acting skills are extremely green. And we can see that on full display here, where at times it's cringy and hard to watch, especially when the stakes are up, his acting octave is up. And to be blunt, it was obnoxious to watch. But you know what? Kids may seem to enjoy it. This might resonate with kids, but for me, it made the kid scenes feel that much longer. But in contrast, our adult scenes between Tony Hale and Darcy Carden are perfectly done, and at times are sweeter than what we should be feeling from our kids. Our two adult performances are spot on and so well done. I wanted more scenes with them. But one would argue that this is what makes this movie perfectly balanced for kids and adults, because I'm sure kids will have fun with the kid performances and the adults will like the adult performances. It's a balance that makes this a well-rounded movie for families. Sketch is a movie that dares to take on topics that many studios wouldn't dare to take on with such clarity, and I applaud Angel Studios and our filmmakers for not making a movie with computer-generated monsters purely for entertainment value to make a summer bubblegum movie for the mind. This will challenge not just the mind, but emotions from kids to adults. And this is a movie where I will stress, this is a film where parents really need to take advantage and have conversations with their kids. This is a kind of movie that doesn't come around that much, and its sole intention is not to entertain, but to give parents that opportunity to talk with their kids after the movie. Sketch has pacing flaws, it has performance flaws. At times we don't know what it wants to feel or what it wants to do, but unlike most family films, it will open conversations. It's ambitious on what it's trying to tackle. It takes risk, and it's effective on doing that even with flaws. So for that, I'm giving Sketch 3 stars. And that's a cut on this week's edition of The Movie Wire. I want to thank you for listening and thank you for your support. You can also show support by following me on Instagram, Blue Sky, X, Thread, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Letterboxd at Movie Wire Show. And please don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you haven't yet checked out the Cult-Worthy Cinema Podcast and the Movie Wire's crossover show, Back to the Balcony, make sure you do. Again, the link of that show will be in the description of this episode. Until next week, do me a favor. Make sure you stay for after the credits to show the respect to those that put their blood, sweat, and tears into making a feature film and support your local movie theaters.
Thank you for bringing me to the movies.
Let the credits roll. We say farewell. Join us next time. We'll have more tales to tell.